Welcome to Behind the Investigation. I'm Harry Samler, Better Call Harry, and I'm kind of mad because I'm here with Chief Investigator Brendan Keefe, who did a story that I once did before, only he did it better.
I don't think that's true, Harry.
No, it is true. I still cannot believe what you got on this story and the people that you interviewed for this. So go on. Make me look bad.
It really starts with the work you did, which was to interview people who have been victims of romance scams. But when we started this investigation, we didn't know it was about romance scams. We just noticed all these interesting artificial intelligence generated photographs on social media. I had just gotten back from D-Day, the 80th anniversary observation of D-Day with my son and my family, and Facebook's algorithm picked up on that. I posted pictures from Normandy, so it started showing me other pictures from Normandy. But I noticed things that I didn't see there. There were some veterans clasped arm to arm walking with canes on the beach, and I'm like, I didn't see any of that. Is this real? And then I noticed one of them had 3 arms. So I said, okay, this is AI. And because I looked at that photo, Facebook kept serving me up more and more of those artificial generated patriotic images. This is why we called our story Artificial Patriots. Listen, take a look, and we'll talk about it on the backside.
Soldiers finally coming home. Combat wounded troops asking for a birthday wish. These images draw tens of thousands of likes, comments, and shares on social media. A semi loaded with American flags. A jetliner full of heroes flying to a D-Day commemoration. But look closer at the veterans' hands. Their plane has no aisle. High-ranking uniformed children in wheelchairs. A soldier saves the hobbly, while those returning troops are in cars with only one seat. And the flag semi is on the wrong side of the interstate. Babies, sometimes in body armor and combat medals, outrank their parents who have 3 arms. This 2-headed mother is with the U.S. Army. These images are all AI generated, and they flood pages with names like Proudly American. Atlanta News First Investigates discovered these patriotic Facebook pages have U.S. addresses that don't exist and are actually managed overseas in foreign countries. This is cyber warfare.
It is.
Douglas Frasier retired from the U.S. Air Force as a 4-star general.
Carry on, please.
But he can also be found responding to comments on these AI images, telling older women they're pretty.
It's fake. I have found nothing I can do to make it stop.
And you've tried.
And I've tried.
Atlanta News First Investigates found multiple General Frasier clones on social media, claiming to be widowers looking for love.
How many General Douglas Frasiers are on Facebook alone at any given time?
Well, my wife has recently checked, and she says right now there are 300 plus.
300 plus General Douglas Frasiers, and not one of them is real.
I'm not on Facebook.
My partner, my soulmate, my darling wife, Rena.
These fake General Frasiers are widowers. They're looking for love.
All throughout this time, I've been happily married. My wife's been alive.
You don't know me? Tell your husband, text me back, I'm his wife.
So she thinks she's his wife?
I'm sorry, ma'am, I'm his wife.
Impersonators of real U.S. generals appear all over the comments, many labeled government official. Atlanta News First Investigates scrolled through hundreds of Facebook accounts claiming to be the Chief of Staff of the Army and never reached the end after 5 minutes. These generals directly ask widows to friend them.
That was my downfall right from the beginning, believing the first person that talked to me, that he loved me, that he was going to make a wonderful life for us.
Jeannie Wasserman thought she had fallen in love with a military officer stationed in the Middle East. After a year-long online romance, he told her he needed money for a chopper ride out of Syria.
How much money did you end up sending him in total?
I think it comes out to $138,000.
You handed more than $130,000 to a scammer when you thought he was a military officer who loved you.
Yeah.
This was your life savings he took.
Yeah.
Was it everything?
It was everything. I just broke down crying. I really let my family down.
Atlanta News First Investigates obtained computer files labeled the Nigerian Scammer's Playbook that we verified as authentic. Page after page of background stories, love letters, instructions on how to fake video calls, and copy and paste responses that allow a scammer to cultivate a manufactured romance one text at a time.
He would send me a song every day that was, of course, a love song. Then say how much he loved me and all this stuff. And
You thought you were talking to your future husband. In reality, you were talking to a script that the scammers share with each other.
mm-hmm.
There's breaking the bank, and then there's breaking your heart.
Yeah, and both of that happened.
To know that foreign scammers, foreign operatives are using your name and likeness to victimize Americans.
Well, it's heart-wrenching to me, mainly because of the impact it has on individuals who don't deserve to be scammed in the way and hurt in the way they are.
General Frasier swore an oath that his clones did not. All enemies, foreign or domestic. Now he's facing artificial patriots, fake generals, and real victims.
We got a call from a lady who said, "Can you do anything to help my mom, because she's continued to contribute?" And she called my wife back. Her mom, if I remember right, had killed herself because she'd given her whole life savings, 200,000 euros, to these scammers.
There's literally a body count. Because
Yes.
We called several numbers victims told us their scammers used.
Hi, this is Brendan Keefe. I'm an investigative reporter. We want to find out why you're scamming people, why you're pretending to be a military officer in the United States when you're actually overseas.
The text reply, send gift cards, then I will give you the whole story. We don't pay for the truth, even when others have paid for the lies.
So I know he's got a good sense of humor about it.
The general.
The general has a great sense of humor about it, but when you think about what these people have been through, and and his wife knowing that his face is out there being used for a scam, I mean, it's incredible.
Yeah, General Frasier is also a victim in this. But as he put it, hey, I signed up for the military. I signed up to be a military officer, to be a 4-star general. My wife signed up to be a military spouse, but she didn't sign up for people to contact her from all over the world saying she's, one, dead, or two, faking it, not his real wife. I mean, just imagine. But both of them were willing to be involved with the story only because, one, it shows that he's not really a widower, that he's the real General Frasier and the others are fake because he's not on Facebook. It kind of helps them to a degree. But the biggest thing is they wanted to make sure there were no more victims. If someone sees this story and sees the real General Frasier saying, do not accept a friend request from me, do not send me money, then that means it's going to be harder for them to use General Frasier's likeness. But they're using the entire Joint Chiefs of Staff. And it does raise the question, and we asked Facebook and never got a real answer, can't they just put some safety protocols in place so that if someone tries to create a Facebook page or an Instagram page in the name of any of the Joint Chiefs, there's only 7 or 8 of them, can't they have an extra layer of protection in there? And why are they allowing them to put the imprimatur of Facebook on there saying government official when these are actually scammers in Nigeria or Ghana?
I guess that's what happens when you've got, 1 billion followers on there, because they can't monitor everything. Although they say they're getting better, but every time, like, I would try and contact them about stuff like this or another type of scam, no response.
Yeah, I mean, I also feel bad for Facebook to a degree because they're a victim in this. Remember, the interstate is agnostic, right? There's police on the interstate, there's delivery trucks on the interstate, there's people going to work on the interstate. But then there's also criminals who use the interstate to commit crimes, to go rob stores, to steal cars. In this case, Facebook is the interstate. They're the information superhighway. Are there safeguards that can be put in place? I think there are. But simply, you said it, with over 1 billion users, how do they even manage this? Because there are so many scams on Facebook, and I've seen so many since we've done this story, and I've seen members of my own family fall for these because they all have the same format. You'll see it'll say, why don't pictures like this ever trend? And then there'll be a dot, a dot, a dot, and then it'll say see more. If you click see more, they're tagging all these celebrities like Jennifer Lopez just to get impressions to lead to engagement bait to commit these scams, and everyone's falling for them.
When I talk about romance scams, not on this level, but just for somebody, who just gets hooked on one of these dating sites, and they immediately are pushed to get off the site, and the next thing you know, they're on WhatsApp, and the next thing you know, just like you reported, the requests for money start coming in. It's easy to tell people, hey, just don't get online and interact with these people. But it's kind of hard. You feel bad for them.
I've had a lot of loss in my family. My mother was a widow before she passed. There are several widows in my family. I've had 3 brothers die who left behind widows. It is really difficult to suffer loss like that, and that leads to loneliness. And when someone pays attention to you, you want to believe it. And I've dealt with several of these victims who've contacted me. I actually contacted a few in the comments in real time. I was going through seeing that a 4-star general had commented on them saying, God bless America. And I'm like, hey, this isn't a real general. One I talked to kept sending me names. Well, is this one real? Is that one real? There's even a Keanu Reeves scheme going around where widows believe that Keanu Reeves has fallen in love with them. And you might say, oh, who would fall for that kind of thing? These are very sophisticated scams. They're using candid photographs that they're obtaining from other profiles. They're sending those and saying they're photos that were taken in real time. There's a whole cache of them. In fact, in Ghana and in Nigeria, you can buy a kit that has the ready-made names and photographs and all of those things we showed in the Scammer's Playbook. And they're very sophisticated, beautiful poems and love songs. Replies, if they say this or ask, why can't you do a video chat with me? The answer is, oh, because it's a secret mission. Or why do you need money to fly out of Syria? Oh, it's because we can't access American dollars here because it's a soft currency. There's an answer for every single skepticism, but then also there's this sort of kit of ready-made responses, and you have a very willing person on the end who wants to believe and may even be willing to part with their money to hold on to that little bit of romance, even though it is completely artificial and manufactured.
Yeah, there was one woman I talked to years ago that she didn't want her face to be shown. She was highly educated. She had a master's degree. She was in finance. She gave away over $100,000, and she wanted to talk about it. But I kept getting, well, what about this? Just like you.
Right.
And you hear, but people who say automatically or think to themselves, well, blame the victim. You really can't, because there's a lot of emotion involved here. And I feel like that's not what we're not seeing, or a lot of people don't see.
Well, in your story that you did, which was excellent with that victim, you actually got her on camera to raise her right hand and pledge not to contact these people anymore, not to send money to someone you haven't met on the internet. And that sort of brings up the how can you protect yourself? Look, no military officer is going to ask you to send money, particularly if you've never met them, which raises the second thing. Never send money to someone you haven't met in person. Mm-hmm. And if someone is asking you for gift cards, if someone is asking you to go buy iTunes gift cards or Best Buy gift cards
or crypto
or to cash a check or crypto, any kind of cryptocurrency, or they send you a check and say deposit it and send me a small amount, that's the difference, you're going to be on the hook for that whole check when it bounces, because your bank often will sort of allow you to have access to those funds before it is cleared, and it's not going to clear. And now you're on the hook for it. Oh, guess what, by the way? You also could go to jail for money laundering. It's happened. And there are suicides that are a result of this. There is a body count, as we said in the story. And there are it's essentially the economy, a big part of the economy in Ghana and Nigeria, and it's largely supported by their country's infrastructure and authorities. So there's no way for our authorities to reach across the ocean and stop it. If the U.S. military can't stop this, who can?
Well, that's where you come in. Doing stories like these and pushing this out there and reminding people that you can't lose money if you keep it in your pocket or if you keep it in your bank account, and just getting the word out so that, people just know. Unfortunately, it's still happening, so that's why we're going to keep doing stories. Brendan, you have anything else to add before I sign off, and you're going to tell people where to go, where they can watch this?
Yeah,
I always forget.
One last thing is these patriotic images. We've seen it recently with the floods and the hurricanes, where there have been more AI photographs, and you see a crying child clutching a puppy. Look, these photos often have either wounded soldiers, amputee soldiers, that pulls at the heartstrings, or they will have babies, military people holding their children. Who doesn't love a cute baby? A little girl holding a puppy. The faces AI is so good at faces because it's taking all of the faces that it's collected and it's creating a person who doesn't exist. And it's almost impossible for us because of the hard wiring in our DNA to respond to emotion on a human face. It's very hard not to fall for it. Just zoom in a little closer. You'll notice those signs in the background on the interstate are gibberish. You'll notice the name tapes on the soldiers' uniforms don't say U.S. Army. They don't even say a name. It's gobbledygook. You will notice that there are inconsistencies. Bottom line is, I would go back to what Harry Samler always tells me with Better Call Harry. If it looks too good to be true, it probably is. And for God's sake, please don't hit share and don't hit like and don't send them money, because you are then spreading the virus, if you will, manually by sending it to all of your friends, just because it stirred emotions in your heart. There are enough people out there who are really needy without having to give money to these charlatans.
Ooh, I'm going to add one more thing. That was fantastic, and that's great information. If you're on a dating site, if you're using a legitimate dating site, stay on the site. Don't get off the site.
True. All of this happens in WhatsApp. It happens in other messaging apps that are encrypted. It's also places where the authorities can't track these folks. And they also use Google Voice. I'm not picking on any individual company here. They use Google Voice to essentially simulate US-based phone numbers. That's how I contacted the scammers directly. I called them and left voicemails. Hey, we want your side of the story. And they said, pay us and we'll tell you. I mean, that tells you everything you need to know.
Right. Well, thank you so much. And I hope you all share this video, because this one is safe.
This one's legit.
This one's legit. This is not a scam. This is Behind the Investigation. Brendan, I always forget. Where else can you go?
So you go to AtlantaNewsFirst.com, of course. Atlanta News First Plus, ANF Plus, is our streaming platform. And you can also get this as a podcast wherever you get your podcasts.
See, I'm still in training. He's the guy. All right. Thank you all very much. We'll see you soon.